Good morning. How's everyone doing out there in Webland? Okay, so today, our primary and only objective is to develop goals and think about some action items, implement strategies for the comp plan. And, I think the way we want to handle this is to take a look at, the spreadsheet we've created that discusses, the issues, and hopefully everyone did comment and add text to that. And then start thinking about 3 to 4 goals, maybe 5 goals, depending on what we think we need, that address recreation and trails for the village. So we're primarily focused on the village issues here. And we are gonna use the SMART goals worksheet as we think through what these goals are gonna be, because that's the only way to get done, and there's a copy there for you two guys. And I'll quickly cover the SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym for one, is it's a specific goal that says that, what do you want to accomplish? Who needs to be included? When you want to do this? And why is this a goal? So it really nails the whole, major components of what that goal is. Second part is it's measurable. So, the goal might not just be, we want to add more trails, but it's, we want to complete 6 miles of trail that connects A to B to C. So it is measurable. It's achievable. So it's not that we're gonna have, we're gonna put so much on there that's never gonna happen in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. So it's something that's realistic, time bound, budget bound, resource bound. So we know we're not gonna have, for example, some major softball tournaments here that are gonna bring in 10,000 people, because it's not achievable. We don't have the resources we don't have the infrastructure to support that kind of thing. The other piece is relevant. Is it aligned with our overall objective or overall vision for the community, which hopefully we will develop a vision for the comp plan. The Village of Angel Fire does not have an approved vision of what they want to be. So is it an outdoor recreation destination? Is it a place for employees to have a good place to live and go to school? We don't know what the vision is for this community, nor do they. Is it time bound? What's the deadline and is it realistic? Kind of sort of covered that, but a little more on that. And so we have those items. Take care.
Close the door.
So thinking about that, when we develop these goals, we're thinking about, are they SMART goals? And if we look back at the goals that were developed in the 2006 plan, they were not very SMART goals. For example, goal 1 was to develop a comprehensive and internet-connected, non-motorized network of trails for public access that is safe, easily accessible, and contributes to the general quality of life in Angel Fire. The second goal is integrate and be consistent with other trails and trail networks in Merino Valley and surrounding public lands. And the third goal is increase the use of trails by providing recreational trail brochures and maps, distinctive and attractive trailheads. So there's some specifics up there, but it's really not measurable. So those goals, and then fourth was increase the number of trips. But is that by 10%? Is it 15%? Is it by kids? Is it by people in wheelchairs? Is it by seniors? So it's not enough detail, and therefore it's hard to create action items or objectives if we don't know what the target is for that goal. Any questions on that little piece so far? Okay, just if you're on, phone, both Shay and Jeff were unavailable today. I think Shay was, ill and then had a family thing to deal with this morning. Okay. So then in our, recreation and trails spreadsheet that, Tim worked on and hopefully all of you guys have added implications and we don't address it, and I haven't looked at it in the last day or so. But we had a number of things. Hiking trails was the first category. It covered interconnection of trails, maintenance, responsibilities and safety, trailhead parking, maps, access, coordination of the major players, and property rights and easements. So that was a hiking trail goal. And the second goal was on recreation facilities. Both programming activities, sports, staff and funding, and aging community center. And we did not have a third issue, so we really had two big topics. But I believe those could be probably broken into several goal statements, and we capture items under each one of those. So
I'm a little confused by this template in that.
we're gonna sort of use a template because I think all the primary challenges and issues of that, like 2A that you brought up, could be broken into one or two goals.
Okay,
Okay,
I mean, we may have one goal that overlaps some of these.
yeah,
Things, I mean, we don't have to have a goal that directly ties to each.
we do
like in
not.
Like in 2A. Or let's say we would get to 2A2 trail maintenance, we've got 8 bullet points or 7 or 8 bullet points. We don't have to have 7 or 8 goals.
We do not.
Okay.
We probably need one goal for an interconnected, safe trail system. A second goal for,
Like maintenance.
maintenance and operations
Okay.
plan, perhaps,
Okay,
right? That means that we're gonna have the regular inspections or annual inspections of the system, whatever it is. A third goal may be related to, public use. Like this kind of, so you have one is, how are we connecting it? You know, what are the elements of that connection? The second one is, how do we maintain it? The third one is, how do we promote it? And that aligns kind of what you've already had here. So there'd be 3 goals. And then under that, you would have these recommended actions or objectives, depending on what terminology you use. I could really care less what terminology you use, but it's the recommended actions. What are we gonna make happen this year, next year, the third year? Questions, other questions or thoughts or clarifications? Matt, anything from your end?
No, sir, not at this moment. I'll be there in about 15 minutes.
What, mentally or physically?
Both.
All right, thanks, Matt.
I did
All
think
right.
it was interesting that, one of the comments was that we expanded to include recreation, but we never added anybody that was specific to recreation to the team. I don't think.
Right. And that is, something I think we're gonna discuss at the next week's meeting on additional needs. I do believe we need a recreation focused person, whether it's the skate park representative or someone who's into the kickball league or sports leagues side of the world to understand more of that. Cause we're really getting a census from what Shay is telling us, and I think we ought to have some community input on that as well.
so you'd want a community representative, not one of these
Not sure.
non-voting type.
I'd rather have a community representative, one of the pickleball addicts that is not a tracker. Look to break that up a little bit. So, and it also brings us to this point of how do we have staggered terms. So if we bring in someone now that's recreation oriented, maybe that staggers for 2 years and we start that staggering thing we're kind of torn with. So we do want to play with recreation goals today, but I texted Shay and said we do need her insight into recreation goals. And the biggest question is, does the village want to coordinate any programming? I mean, it's right now, it seems to be that community members want to start the yoga classes.
Yeah.
Yoga with goats or badgers or whatever.
Like in the
Right,
pickleball.
the
club.
pickleball
Club
is
does.
self-initiated.
Right, it's not a. village
Should
thing.
the village have programming, summer camp, spring break camp for kids and that's something we can talk about. Is that a goal that they should be thinking about? Or these other, events? Elliot's thinking about this enlightenment run or something similar. Is that a village sponsored event versus resort sponsored event? So that's all programming related as opposed to infrastructure. So could be two goals on that, depending on what they want to do.
I added, I didn't know how to call it, but I did add at the bottom of the recreation one, just kind of a heads and beds events, kind of a generic thing, bike races or, hike, community events that you're talking about.
Okay, good.
TV will be centered right here.
So what I'm gonna try to do is, as we kind of think through these goals, I'm gonna try to put a version up on a flip chart here as we can kind of work through that. So let's go back and look at that trail plan excerpts document that was pulled together. There's a lot of good objectives in here, and I think they're still spot on. Some are, create more trails and trail connections of the village. Provide trails that accommodate all season use. Build an arterial trail from Monte Verde Lake to Eagleness Lake. We could say that's not a priority, for example. Provide connections to current and future greenbelt trails. Some of this has been done. To provide safe trails from Sendero Cell to key recreation community destinations. Some of that's happening now. Some of it could still be done. We can get more specific on those kind of ideas as well. And I think we're thinking that along the same lines.
And when these were first made, Cougar didn't even exist, right?
Right.
So there wasn't anything that needed to connect to that because it didn't even exist then.
Right, exactly. Okay. So maybe everyone take a few minutes just now. I'm thinking about this first 2A1 primary challenge of interconnection of trails or trails network. And think about a goal you have in mind for that. So just write down the initial goal you might have for that.
I know Shay's not here, and I wanted to make sure y'all had someone from the village if you need them. Is there, I'll just go in my office and.
Yeah, for sure. You don't need to. So the recreation topic, we can draft some ideas. We'll have a big conversation with Shay on how recreation fits in as well.
Okay.
Like we just talked about, is programming activities part of the village responsibility, or should it be in the future, for example? And right now, recreation seems to be just the built environment and fields extension, as opposed to, do we take a lead in pulling in the yoga with badgers class or whatever it might be? So I don't know. And that's where we're playing with. Most of this ever doing is going to be, generated from a comp plan, thinking about it. So it's still have lots of. And we already talked about that. It's realistic. So if there's never going to be additional staff at her office, then she can't do programming. So, but if there's a need for it down the line, but people say, yes, we, how do we get more people, or do we make sure people are certified to teach the course? Is there a role for the village in making sure that the instructors have some vetting before they're teaching a class. I don't know what the answers to those are yet, but that's kind of what they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a new idea. I don't know that it's been contemplated before. But I think it's a good question.
Yeah. So like, playgrounds, there should be a playground in each one of the workforce housing things that could be managed by that. Is anyone inspecting the playgrounds for safety issues? Is there a standard form that the village uses and the resort uses for inspecting playgrounds for safety?
I know some of the families I've talked to at Olympic Park didn't even know there was a playground at the community center.
They didn't even know.
I mean, it's
Well,
not
that's because
advertised.
we didn't have one for almost 2 years.
Right,
I mean, they had one, but it was blocked off because in 2022, they decided that it wasn't safe. I think it might have been 2021, I can't remember when. And then in 23, they came and tore it down. And we just now, as a matter of fact, we're up doing the final landscaping right now
yeah, I can see it, yeah.
to open that back up. So it's been, at least 2 to 3 years that we haven't had one at all.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna promote that? As far as getting people to understand that we have a park up there?
We should do it through, I would think we would do it through, directly through our village webpage and through our Facebook page,
Okay,
which Shay operates herself. And then, indirectly, we can do it with starting to incorporate that into our advertising. So we have to be careful, the advertising dollars have to be spent with the intent of putting heads in beds. So if it's presented as just for the locals or whatever, you can't really, you could get in trouble for spending
Yeah.
the lodger's tax on that. So we have to incorporate the playground into an ad campaign that says, bring your kids and, while you're, doing whatever, your kids can play at the playground or something. I'm not,
right.
so,
Like,
So-
what about like the chamboree blast?
yeah.
Because I think she
Do things
publishes
like that.
the community in her calendar.
And the other way to do it, to be quite frank, I think is we should schedule some events up there. Like Shay's wants to have the Easter egg hunt up there. That she told me about. So I think once you start doing little events like that, then the word will get out.
It's there.
Because, an Angel Fire, it's really funny because when I was in Rotary and we were doing Oktoberfest, I spent months advertising Oktoberfest. And, I had people complain the day of the Oktoberfest, they drove by and saw it and we didn't know about it. I'm like, I had posters all over town. Back then we had a newspaper. It was in the ad in the newspaper. People still said, I didn't hear about it. And then on the other hand, we're such a small town that everybody knows everybody else's business, right? Like,
Mhm.
you wonder if somebody comes up and says something to you, hey, I heard your son did this. I'm like, oh, how did you know that? And by the way, who are you?
That's true.
So it's kind of a weird dichotomy, I guess. But we can put together a plan to try and promote it, for sure.
Especially this year with lack of snow. That Olympic Park is full. They have nowhere to go as far as little kids. If they're gonna ski,
That's really,
there's
to
no
me,
sledding.
that's our biggest shortcoming. Or one of our biggest shortcomings. I guess our biggest is probably workforce housing, but we really need something for families to do since we're a family destination after the mountain closes.
Right,
Part of that's going to restaurants and eating or whatever,
right.
but there's not a lot for people to do.
Yeah, when I worked at Sledding Hill, they always asked, what do we do now? It's not when they go eat and then go back to your hotel, I guess.
So
Skating would be nice.
I think that's where you guys come in and trying to figure out how do we utilize Allen Fields and the properties we have, even Liberty Square out here to give alternatives you know, for people to go and do things when the mountain closes.
What are they doing back here?
Sorry?
What are they doing back here?
They're putting in a temporary event center, we're gonna build a permanent event center, so. This is the plan we're looking at right now. There's 3 options here, but we're looking at this one. And, so this area right here, they're gonna put a temporary in. And then we're hoping, probably not this summer, but next spring after that. So a year from April, we're gonna start constructing this 30,000 square foot event center building. And then this is gonna be a concert yard here. And this is going in, hopefully, we'll find out on the 22nd if we got money from the governor for this. This is the new fire station. And then we're gonna have just a little civic area plaza here. And this will be a concert venue and this will be an event center.
So we have tractor pulls in there, right?
Tractor pulls. Not that kind of event center. Okay, if you don't need anything. let me
Okay,
know.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Weir. All right, everyone have a chance to write an idea for a goal? For this first idea, we're looking at interconnection of trails. That's just a general challenge. So what is a goal related to that? And I can put one up on the board here, and then we can chat about it a little bit and revise it. Who's got one they want to share their little draft?
So I've always wanted to connect cougar to coyote and to bobcat. Now, you know there's some existing green belts they can use. There's some, and the resort is probably going to have to do most of that. But if we can somehow encourage that or help out in that.
So connect cougar to bobcat to what?
And then cougar also to coyote. So at one end of cougar could go up to could come down to coyote, and the low end could connect to bobcat.
Okay, that's more of an objective. So we're thinking
okay.
about the broader goal of a interconnected
Right.
network that is both pedestrian. So for example, can you get from the resort to the women's housing area off here off Frank Young Trail or whatever the solar trail is? Pedestrian access, safety, getting through town, and the recreational connections. Is there an overall big opportunity that we
Right.
want to capture as a goal? So that's definitely an objective within that goal, because that's specific, that's measurable. So we can say a time bound, you say within 5 years or 3 years or whatever the resort says. Then you put the time bound on that. But what is a bigger goal statement for this?
I mean, I think we can do real similar to the first one they have here, but maybe I was saying instead of developing comprehensive interconnection, is to develop more connections of the existing non-motorized network of trails. For public, and then what they have for public access that's safe, easily accessible, contributes to the general.
Develop more connections.
More connections of existing and proposed non-motorized network of trails. Then you could go on if you just wanted to.
And then you'd have all this down below. Yeah, those down below, yeah.
And then I would have an objective is connect, Frank Young extension to the community center.
Yeah,
That would be,
do recreational and community activities.
yeah.
Okay, anything else on this goal 1? Goal 1.
need to make it measurable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
The thing about a SMART goal is that, is that realistic? Is it measurable? Is it achievable?
I mean, there's a lot of challenges that are gonna affect timeframes and achievability. Because there's a lot, like Elliot
Right.
pointed out, there's a lot of
A lot of the
property ownership issues. It's not easy.
So maybe do we narrow the focus on connecting village trails first? Focus on maybe the extension, connecting the community center, those type of things.
It's currently, according to the data, 2.7 miles of village trails. Do you say that we want to reach 3.5 or something, or I don't know?
Okay. The other way you might look at it is goal is complete. Complete key connections. For a safe and accessible trail network. No way to, so I keep thinking about those elements of Frank Young. So we've got these destinations. We've got the RV park at the resort, we think is a destination that would be wonderful if people could take their e-bikes off their rigs and ride into the Lowe's grocery store and not have problems parking, or come in for the winter, cool summer nights staying on their bikes. As opposed to driving in, since we have parking problems.
Or
We
golf cart.
wanna,
Golf carts, right, whatever, right?
now, one thing, their whole goal and what I proposed up there's got the word non-motorized in it.
Right.
Do we need, think about.
Yeah, I had that hyphen on mine too as an issue, is what do we mean by being, we need that clarification on that policy.
Another thing, non-motorized e-bikes fit into that.
Yeah, but like, see
I always think, like
The forest.
motorized with.
the forest considers an e-bike as motorized. It doesn't
Fair.
allow you- So you can't ride a e-bike on a.
On like South
forest
Boundary or
trail.
something.
Right.
So. And then if you just say, well, non-motorized by default, and, doesn't include e-bikes, but then does it include golf carts or not golf carts, and then you got your guy Nolan running around in his. motorized-
four-wheeler.
Yeah, his little four-wheeler.
With the horns on the side,
Yeah.
long horn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's pictures on it.
And the rebel yell, horn,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so back on this, to develop more connections, does that need to be focused to talk about, key destinations in town? So to somehow say key destinations,
Yeah, connect key destinations.
Yeah. Community destination.
so CC,
RV park,
RV park.
Allen
Allen
Fields.
Fields. I mean, there's already, I guess there's sidewalks from Lowe's up to the resort.
Then high school, is that a key
Yeah,
destination?
the high school.
I mean, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's kind of, that's kind of a village role for us, right? Making the town more walkable.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
Okay. So that's definitely very specific, key destinations. Our viewer. So someone just says about sidewalks go where, from where to where?
Well, I was thinking about try to get but there's no need for a trail up to the resort, cause
Oh.
there's sidewalks.
Sidewalks all the way.
Right,
So
Right.
that was just.
But there is a
thinking
need for-
out loud.
well, I was just looking at the map for the workforce housing thing, and the whole thing is road focused. It's the road going in and some houses off to the side, and
Sure.
massive parking areas. There's no pedestrian.
Be nice to
Access.
incorporate
You need a
safe
sidewalk.
walking spaces.
They need a bus stop in front
They need
because,
places to walk around.
yeah,
Do we include the lake in this as well, Monteverde? Cause I know that kind of wraps in, Elliott's, connects Cougar to all of those. So I guess not specifically, but it gets you from here to there.
so if we have connect key destinations in town through trails and better access, an objective could be completing sidewalk connections in certain places. That could be an objective under that,
And crosswalks.
and crosswalks, right?
Cuts.
Okay, does someone else want to take a stab at a goal statement off of these two ideas, develop more connections, existing proposed network and trails, and then key destinations, come up with a goal for that, that's using the SMART goal approach. Take a few seconds to think that through, I'm gonna facilitate this, you guys roles to come up with a statement that takes in these ideas. Need more paper?
Hold on, right?
So the idea of SMART goal is specific. It's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, it's time bound. Those ideas that we're looking for.
Still on goal one.
Yeah.
We're just refining that to make it smart, what we're saying.
I'd like for us to develop a draft statement right now, because I don't want to do this when I get back home today, so we're gonna come with a draft statement for goal one. So we're looking at, again, we're looking at interconnection of trails with the primary challenges. And we had a whole bunch of implications if not addressed, and I don't have a current print version. Do you have did you turn up the most recent input version? Thanks, let me just maybe share some of those ideas. Okay, so. The primary challenge, our trails network is only partially completed and many destinations don't have connections. Implications, trails do not get used to the extent they could be. They don't connect with the major destinations. You cannot walk to or bike to major facilities in the community. So those are the three ideas that came out of that. So we're looking for another idea of a goal statement. Write one down and someone can put it up here and then we can wordsmith it a bit. As we're already capturing some of the objectives, which is really good.
Just so I understand, we're trying to refine what's on that sheet
Yeah,
in a more coherent,
yes.
concise way.
Right, using
Okay.
yeah, so we had. Tim started off telling us, he had this goal, revising their earlier goal to develop more connections of existing and proposed non-motorized network trails. Non-motorized, of course, is a topic of discussion. And we also mentioned key destinations, connecting key destinations in the village. So the community center, the RV park, Allen Fields High School. I guess we could put Liberty Square there too, since that's could be the anchor.
What about the workforce housing?
Yeah. Workforce housing neighborhood. And so why did this comes to light, why this is important, as I looked at the thing Rocky showed me this morning, for workforce housing. The criteria they were using for that was put in a road and place for 40 houses. So had they seen some of these goals about sidewalk access, pedestrian access, they might have instantly asked the engineer to incorporate those things. But engineers only think about how to get a car in and out as fast as possible. And not about pedestrian access, so this is why the comp plan starts to pull together all these different pieces, is that, so when someone's thinking about a project. Oh yeah, that needs to have a playground in it, it needs to have a dog park, and it needs to have this or that in it, so what we're trying to accomplish is that. If we're working on something and the streets workforce or the streets committee sees a need for a crosswalk. Or a hawk signal that we recommend, it starts to pull everything together. That's kind of what the comp plan is gonna try to do, is make everyone work together on. And not silo everything, because everything is still very, very siloed as far as what committees are doing.
And the key destinations, do we want to also include the Olympic Park and the country club?
Yeah, we can put those on there.
The Monte Verde Lake.
Yeah, we had that down here as an objective, but I'll add it up here.
Yeah, I mean, an objective may be a way, what trail needs to be.
What's the main pieces,
Yeah,
right?
what, like,
Okay.
one Ellie was talking about, that
Mhm.
gives money or Lake connected.
Okay. Anyone got a draft they wanna share and me throw up on the board?
I'm a bit struggling, but the only thing that kind of comes to my mind is kind of finish the completion or finish the connections. That would be certainly measurable. Whatever that was, that needs,
Connections to key destinations or
yeah, perhaps.
perhaps?
I mean, do we want to say like specifically a useful trail from Liberty Square to the fields and the high school within 2 years? Is that the kind of goals we're talking about?
I think I would put that under the objective, Billy, and I put down there, that would be an objective, so finish connections to key destinations in the village within X number of years, and then the objective could be Frank Young Trail to Community Center.
Right.
And then it could be something else below that, a couple of ideas, we take on two, so the comp plan is 10 years, so we could say 10-year time period. That's time bound for our comp plan, for our committee, our time bound is another 2.5, 3 years until Lindsay's out of office. And then, who knows what they do. So finish connections to key destinations within the village and resort. You wanna put the resort in there too or not?
Yeah, I mean-
Because Patrick is on our committee.
it's kind of the impression I have is that we have, a lot of trails, and all we're really trying to do is just finish connecting them. It's not like building a lot of new trails. I mean, there are some new trails out to Monte Verde Lake or whatever, but
Okay.
some of the connections are longer than others, I guess, maybe is the way to think of it.
Maybe I'll share with our guy, I don't know if I.
No, it's all- everything is-
understand
We're
that.
actually,
So the overall goal is to plan, develop and create connectivity of the village to ensure pedestrian and recreational access to key community locations. Am I on the right
you're on
track?
the exact right track. Let's read that. Let me look at that down here. Plan. Develop,
Create. Connectivity. Of the village. To ensure. Pedestrian and recreational. Access. To key community locations.
okay, very good. So plan, develop, create connectivity to the village of the village to ensure pedestrian and recreational access to key community locations. So if that was wordsmith a bit to add in any of the SMART goal pieces of it, how would we do that? So how is that measurable?
Don't your objectives start to define?
They do, okay,
Measurement
measurement.
and the timetable.
so we could do that way, I'm fine with that.
Cause the objectives are, become part of the goal, right?
Right. Okay, so we got a goal here. Objectives. We had,
I mean, the most, low hanging fruit is to complete the Frank County Extension Trail, right?
Yeah.
And we can say what do we think within a year or
right, okay,
something, I mean, that's pretty.
design and construct. Frank Young Trail,
Frank County Extension, I guess, it's.
Yeah.
It already exists.
to,
Build high
Allen's
school
Fields.
and high school.
Liberty Field or Liberty Square, the high school and the fields.
okay, so that's one objective we're gonna be focused on pretty heavily for a while. That's one.
And then
Another one would be,
Can we put a time frame on that one?
yeah, within,
I'd say within 2 years. I know it'd be nice to have it done this year, but
Yeah.
I think, you know.
Yeah.
The key to happiness is proper expectations.
yeah.
We've been at it for a year and a half already.
Okay, so can you guys see what I wrote there? Design Frank Young extension to Allen Fields and Montgomery High School, Liberty Square within 2.5 years or 2 years. Another one would be,
I'm thinking, the next easiest one, once Frank Young is done, is to, from the Frank Young extension to the community center.
okay, that's okay, that's my backup. Yeah, put one right in the middle. I just want to bleed through the walls, that's why. I've been asking for a flip chart stand since March.
But last year.
Okay. Design, what was that, design?
Trail,
Frank Young.
from Frank Young to community center. Design and construct or develop.
Yeah, let's say develop.
Probably whatever word you're gonna end up using in the.
Yeah,
first one.
both of them, design and develop or construct,
Yeah,
whatever we use, construct.
trail from Frank Young
Yeah.
to community center. Which would probably just go at the power line easement, there's a power line.
With the 2 switchbacks.
Yeah, cause it'd be a little steep.
Okay. Okay, what about, so we got 2 objectives there. So those 2 objectives are definitely, projects. Any objectives that might be a program or a policy that we want to work on, or a promotion we want to work on in that. They might actually come in the other ones, but I'm gonna throw it out here for you now to think about.
Should we explore maybe a very basic, simple map, maybe to see if we could put it at Lowe's or somewhere where a lot of people are coming in and out that may not be familiar with the area? So I don't know the logistics of it, but maybe having a trail map and activities that are around, because like how many people know about the playground at the community center? How many people that are coming into town even know that there is a community center? So maybe some sort of outreach program in key locations at the resort, at Lowe's. Just to let people know, so as you're walking in, it's like, oh, hey, look, didn't even know this was here.
Yeah, I like your idea of maybe not just having like trail maps, but have like a.
Just kind of like an
recreational
overall,
activities,
yeah,
your trails, your
Mhm.
community center.
things that you can
Fishing at
do.
Monterey
Yeah.
Lake, you know, different things.
That you might not, yeah, that you might not be aware of, because when I first moved up here, it took me a while to
Right.
learn, you know, it's like, oh, I had no idea
I
this
didn't
was
even know the
here.
community center was up there for. a long
I've,
time.
yeah, I was probably I probably lived here for 2 years before I realized we had a community center.
I mean, most people go on the Angel Fire website, very few go to the village,
Hmm,
because you're coming into a resort town.
sure, so you go to the
Fire
resort, that's fair.
But they don't promote any village.
So I like that idea, but I think that might go, there was another goal we had earlier, which also fits in,
It's not an ancient map.
we had an issue, it was item number 2A.4 trail maps, which could be just broadened into trail, increase the use of trails and other recreation facilities in the village by these methods.
Gotcha.
So that could be another goal. This goal is probably, if we stuck to this goal, this could be the development goal only.
Okay,
And then we have a goal on, I think before you got it, we have a goal on maintenance and operations and a goal
I
on,
see, okay.
a goal on promotion. Let's do that way,
Okay, copy,
maybe.
copy.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay,
Not to make this too convoluted.
okay. So we got an objective here, encourage, I'm thinking about what we talked about earlier, the sidewalks that need a workforce housing or the crosswalks that are needed on Frank Young, or the fact that we need a hawk signal at 434. Remember, the hawk signal is the one it's a pedestrian actuated flashing light. So when everyone's getting their groceries and walking back up to the hotel, it'd be nice to have an actuated flashing light there at that intersection that says there's pedestrians here. Because no one pays attention to traffic in that corner.
When part of the thing of connecting trails is just having
Yeah,
crosswalks is really.
so is there something along here, identify sidewalk and crosswalk needs?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a
I think it
fair,
could be as simple as where, Frank Young crosses over to the other one, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of ambiguous, not really sure where to go.
So identify and promote, is that what I said? Identify and, need a word there, crosswalks.
I think you said sidewalks.
Sidewalks. Another roadway safety.
Yeah.
If you're standing on a
Dennis
sidewalk,
office in here.
you're standing on a sidewalk by law, are they supposed to stop?
I actually have no idea.
Yeah, if you're standing in if you're in a sidewalk or at a legalized crosswalk, yeah, they're supposed to stop.
They're supposed to stop. Cause we got like 4 of them on 430.
Yeah, but
So-
they disappear so quickly and,
State law says you have to yield in New Mexico, there's not a stop law. So if you know, if you're taking the roundabouts in the Taos, there's state law says stop.
Right,
We don't have a stop law in the state, it's only yield law, so DOT puts up the wrong signs in their own roadway,
okay.
but it's only a yield sign. There's a roadway,
yeah, that definitely helps create more connectivity, even if you're just walking from
Yeah,
the bank to Lowe's, having that open, identified, safe.
Red River is really active in that. They got little signs in the center and
Uh-huh.
really make sure that.
Yeah, I do like how they,
Yeah.
it's very bright, it's very visible, lots of yield to pedestrians at every.
Yeah. right, we don't think that way here at all, because I mean, we could. So I did identify and advocate for crosswalk, sidewalk, and other roadway safety
Okay.
features, maybe? I'm gonna put
Right.
features. Okay, is that enough for goal 1 for now? Then we'll probably just come back to this, but I'll just leave that alone. We want to be here all day, all night.
And I think we have to be out of here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 9:30, go see it, that's what we gotta go see.
Okay, goal 2, same thing. Ken, would you? But this is the one that, this is the most recent printed.
Thank you.
Goal 2 is gonna be on trail maintenance, operations, responsibilities and safety. So we actually, access, trailhead access could be on there too. We might add that to that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone disagree with that? Trailhead access would go under this connections part? All right, goal 2. All right, same idea here for goal 2. We're looking at, maintenance and operations. And if someone could read off some of the implications of who to address those things on there, that would be helpful. That were on the sheet.
Potential lawsuits.
Okay.
Then risk exposure to parties not responsible. Identified on signage. Lack of usage due to poor maintenance.
You're not gonna walk the trail, if there's a lot of flow down and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
The second one you read?
the risk exposure to parties not responsible.
Okay, what was the first one you read? Potential
Lawsuits.
lawsuits.
And then probably maybe before that is just potential for trail user injuries. Not injury, not all injuries are gonna result in lawsuits, still don't have people getting hurt. Risk exposure, those that take trail maintenance into their own hands without authorization.
Someone wrote that one down?
Bingo.
Is that you?
That's one I added.
Yeah.
You know, when I was looking at the history, there was a point in time when the truckers were responsible for trail maintenance. But over time, the resort took it over.
Yeah, her name's still in the sign. Then some street crossings are not marked. As pedestrian.
Okay,
crossings.
so is, anyone got a draft goal statement we'll throw up here?
Yeah, sure. Kind of along the same lines, create, develop a cohesive trail maintenance program that ensures safety, mitigates risk and liability, and promotes the use of trails.
Very nice. Create and develop. You must have been a counselor at one time. Create and develop a cohesive, right?
Yeah, a cohesive trail maintenance program. That ensures safety. Mitigates risk/liability. And promotes use of trails.
Mitigates liability. And promotes.
Use of trails.
Right, so we got create and develop a cohesive trail maintenance program that ensures safety, mitigates liability, and promotes the use of trail systems. Any additions to that, changes, edits? Like that?
Yeah.
This is just village trails, right?
Say that again, Chris?
Just village trails, right?
Yeah, okay. So what are some of the objectives under that quickly? Just list out a few that we can work on a little later.
I mean, I guess one thing is figure out how much is it gonna cost? Does Shay have the resources? Is this something that she can handle with her existing crew? Is this something that we need to petition, council to expand recreation budget by $40,000 a year to get two part-time people with one full-time person? I don't know if that.
So identify, I think you're saying something along the lines that we need to allocate appropriate funds towards regular maintenance.
Yeah, something along that
Identify-
line.
And appropriate
Cause someone's gotta do it, and that person generally costs money.
funds for annual maintenance program. Good, okay, what else?
I think we need to clarify ownership of trails to determine who's responsible.
Yeah, so that's a big one. It's still crazy to me that there's ambiguity over certain trail ownership.
Yeah, well, I think the part of it is like, I think like Bobcat, you go see, crosses it, starts as a village trail, then goes in, or,
Yeah.
then goes into resort property, then I think it comes back out on the
Gotcha.
village.
Okay, any objectives?
Well, it's something about doing the inspections using our checklist.
Yeah.
What, conduct annual or semi-annual inspections.
Perform.
Yes, in that same vein, maybe some training. To know how to properly maintain trails, cause it's what, you don't wanna just send somebody out, but hey, go do this, and they don't actually know. How
Right,
to do certain things. I mean, it's not all that hard, but you gotta be taught.
so ideally, if the comp plan takes all these into play, then the actions like perform and so that would be something that we said we're gonna do in 2026. Then we probably come up with a list of tasks related to that. Okay, we've got to train 10 people.
Right.
We've got to, assign the routes. We've got to follow up. So I think there'd be a whole step process in that, but that's good and related training to that. Any other objectives? Develop a cohesive trail maintenance program. Is it a maintenance program or is it a management program?
What is the difference?
So the maintenance could just be dealing with the issues on the trail, but management might also address conflicts on trails, e-bike policy. So management
So
takes
maintenance / manage, is that making it?
management usually takes maintenance into it, in my mind, and that's how I always thought about it, is
Copy.
trail management program.
Maintenance is a subset.
Trail management could include all the signage related to it. It
Yeah,
could
I
include
was
the
gonna do
maintenance.
another objective is update signage, but if you change that to management.
That's
When
fair.
you say management, then you might just want to put in parentheses, maintenance, signage, whatever else you think.
That
So
include
that could
parking.
be, so management could be, any rules and regs, right, that fits in there.
Rules, regs, maintenance, that makes sense.
E-bike policy. It'd be, what did you just say?
Like signage.
Signage. I mean, another rules and regs includes like enlightenment's only an uphill trail, so. We ever get to the point where we get so busy that we can only say you can only do clockwise loops or counterclockwise loops, and we're never gonna get there, but. Those are management topics that
And I think
sometimes come up.
Things that make
Just like parking.
sense.
Parking, yeah, okay. All right, we good with that one?
It's an interesting situation since the resort has some of the trails and the village has some of the trails. We have to make sure our rules match. We don't want people have to know rules for both trail, you know, for the different trails. Oh, I can't use this one now that I got to this part of the trail.
That is a good point. But I mean,
Rules are complementary.
Yeah, it's hard enough to get people to follow a set of rules, let alone have multiple systems and ambiguity and not sure which trails, whose rules am I under?
Yeah,
So, but rules are complementary with
Nope.
adjacent landowners. So resort versus village. So do we know there's been adjacent, adjoining and abutting?
what's that?
There's been adjacent, adjoining and abutting.
Joining are right next to each other. right?
Adjacent means you like your neighbor. Adjoining means you tolerate your neighbor, and abutting means you hate your neighbor. Okay.
all right.
So we're gonna say adjacent, since we kind of like the resort sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, anything else on goal 2? Goal 3, let's move quickly. The third goal, I think, is the promotion goal. And we want to tackle a little recreation if we can. I believe we have 15 minutes to get through 2 more. We're gonna roll now. I think it's all starting to think. And the next one has got to be someone else besides Matt. He's overworked this morning already.
I don't know, it's pretty good. He's on a roll.
So this one, Tim, could you cover the point on,
You're on 283?
whatever the next one is, kind of trail mapping, promotion?
Well, there was, 283 was trailhead parking. but I
Trail
think that's
parking would probably go under management. So
Yeah,
let's put
yeah,
that
we-
back
we
in.
got
So I think we can go to, trail maps need updating. So our implications were confusion on most current version of map. Not easily findable on village and resort websites. Trail maps poorly describe trail difficulty, max grades with side slopes. And stock is not replenished at the trailhead kiosk.
Some bright lights.
Somebody turned their headlights on.
I think it's the police chief.
He's excited about gold too, because they're
Turn the spotlight on.
All right, goal 3. Is there kind of
Promotion.
information goal, right? Maybe it's an information goal.
And promotion.
And promotion, okay. That's kind of our key element for this. This one might start off with provide as a good action verb at the beginning of it, if you need help
Yeah,
in drafting the
provide
version.
easily accessible.
Write it down and share it.
That's as far as I got.
Yeah. Thanks for putting through this exercise. Much appreciated. It's gonna help us on the long run.
But how about provide easily accessible information and promotional materials regarding village trails and recreational facilities?
Wow, we should been the council.
Yeah.
You can still run it.
I'm about to say that there'll be a seat open and.
Provide easily accessible.
Yeah.
Seat open
Information,
next year, it's all yours.
Information.
information and promotional materials. Regarding village trails.
And on those rec facilities, do we wanna just include things like Monte Verde Lake, the pickleball courts, the play, or is it only village?
Well, since we kind of, I think are, on these other ones are kind of, it seems like we are more geared toward village.
It certainly would be easier as far as achieving our goals, probably be a lot easier if we limited it to.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I think, but.
Remember the resort.
Yeah, you gotta get the resort in there.
I think they're already kind of
The
there,
res-
like promotion, so. Yeah,
Remember the
comment over
resort's
there.
talking about doing the USB maps sort of thing. So we got to coordinate with that, because they were talking about ones where you could they're going to put a USB up and you can take a picture with your phone and have the maps. Then we have to have our maps. They got to be all inclusive.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the QR code idea.
I think only Maine
That's the word. Yeah.
is related to village. I think everything else has to be coordinated with the resort.
Do you think we should just stick with village or?
I feel like we
No.
could, if we're just trying to make things accessible, right?
Yeah.
If we're just gonna make let's say a map at Lowe's, I don't know why,
And
we would
people that come to
exclude
visit,
resort.
people that come to visit, they don't care who it's owned by.
Right,
For
They
sure, I
want
don't
to know
think we
what's
should
theirs, they can use,
exclude resort.
They gotta use it, they gotta pay for
Right,
it.
I mean, the current map has resort and
Yeah,
village.
yeah,
yeah, that's fair.
yeah,
Even how it
so I think it's that.
Okay. So the goal is, provide easily accessible, that's measurable. Easily accessible information, promotion materials regarding village trails and recreation facilities, so we have, it's measurable. Pretty specific on that as well. So recreation facilities are also recreation programming.
Can you say facilities and programming?
Yeah. Any other objectives? You want to quickly just list out a few objectives for that?
Like the map update, which I think, is Jeff working with Ralph on that?
Map updates. What else we got?
Probably just make sure they get, websites get updated and.
Cohesion between
Yeah, cohesion
websites,
between printed and website.
digital mediums.
He's on fire today.
Don't feel like it. This time change is really bugging me.
There we go. Print and digital mediums. Beautiful. That sounds like we know what we're talking about.
Until you make it.
Other objectives for this? Are events an objective? We're having a trail run event or a hike or trails day event.
Yeah.
The skate park festival,
And how to
summer.
promote events, promotion of events.
Okay. Or, yeah, promote and, we just gotta promote events, because I don't think we can really organize too many ourselves,
No.
promote events. Good? Any other comments on that one? Okay, we've got 8 minutes, we need a goal, a recreation goal that, we will have further conversation with Shay on. Some of it's in here as well, but,
Yeah, so it's.
I guess the question is. right now, I think Shay's, with her resources, her staff, her budget, it seems to be very limited to managing, community center. And any money she has goes towards fixing the community center, so really can't spend money beyond that. And, kind of overseeing, softball and some soccer at the Allen Fields, right? So a few events.
Yeah, and I guess what expansion of Allen Fields, imagine that's taken a fair amount.
Big time, so yeah, so it's kind of focused on infrastructure management and development. Right, so I think that's what we have going on right now, there, so we need to think about, are there other roles, for example, so. What I'm seeing right now is that people on the Facebook page, hey, I wanna have a yoga class at the community center, who wants to do it? Okay. So people sign up for it, it's a community center. Has that person ever even done yoga before, or just say, hey, I wanna do a yoga class? So is there a need for certifications? That is a goal, that there's better accountability or better checking on who's teaching the
Yeah.
classes?
Definitely do some vetting on.
Yeah, vetting on that, so that's part of what I'm thinking about. I think, there could be a cool kickball league out there at the Allen Fields in the evening. Right. Instead of just softball. Can be able to pick up soccer stuff, so is there a role for the village in promoting recreation events and activities? Yeah. Sure, man. So the goal here, the issue was just, it's kind of recreation right now, it's winter recreation activities aside from skiing, so we just heard that from Manager Weir saying that, once sledding is done at 4:30, what do the people do in town? So, is there a need for the village to ramp up evening activities, winter programming?
I see them.
Could the goal have something to do with identifying recreational? Needed recreational activities and facilities? Something like that, because we got the skate park, there's trying to get done. Suggestions of ice skating, I mean, it seems like we got the community center, but nothing else.
So it's recreation oriented, so one idea is, ID need for additional
Recreational opportunities.
ID need.
But
For,
it's particular to the evening, I think, is it
Yeah.
not? The mountain shuts down, that's winter and summer.
that might be an objective, Chris, that could be, identify, ID. Evening. Winter. Rec. Activities.
I think
And-
we say when the mountain shut down. it's
Yeah.
Seasonal too, like what do people do?
In the summertime?
Summertime,
Nothing.
yeah, if you don't golf, the people come here.
They disperse, we don't do a very good job at it.
Somebody in their party's gonna go play golf, what's the rest of the family do?
Right. So ID evening and winter rec, activities, seasonal, summer and winter, so. The bigger need is there a need for additional recreation opportunities, so if there's ID that need, we might find out through a survey or some other methods that we do need to come up with. X number of things for families and otherwise. So that could be one part of a recreation goal.
You say activities and also facilities, right? Because if we're talking about a pump track or a skate park or a ice skating rink or those sort of things.
Such as saying, okay, we need a playground in all the workforce housing areas, so if we're trying to promote family, community in these workforce housing. And there's no green space or playgrounds. they're gonna say, well, why would I wanna live there? I can't, there's no place for a kid to play.
Well, and like I said, when this gets in the comprehensive plan, when they're looking at Liberty Square, then hopefully they're looking at our stuff and we're saying, you know, we need recreational facilities or opportunities, so maybe they need to
Yeah.
be incorporated.
Yeah.
Okay.
There.
All right, is there another goal here that, we're gonna talk more about Shay on this, but, what other recreation ideas, and we can maybe, I think we've sort of got a start of a goal for there. What else? Looking back over the recreation points, we had, development plan, travel and fields, skate pump track, winter recreational issue, staff and funding, aging community center were the three issues. Some objectives could be to ensure adequate funding for community center.
Is an electrical service. That. Yeah. So, I was talking to Jack.
Probably need to figure out how much these other programs, opportunities, facilities would cost, and then what it would. Just the one-time cost and also just the continued maintenance of it.
Well, maybe not.
Everything goes with the price tag.
Programs and facilities.
And maybe then, and potential funding sources, are there grants available for some of that stuff? Kind of thing.
Seems like completing Allen Field should be here somewhere.
Yeah, probably the objective, probably an objective would be completion. That should be achievable since it's on,
It's on its way.
Yes. All right, so let's wrap up for now, that we've got a minute, right? Well, you have a meeting starting at 10 here, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, any volunteers to, put this into a format? We want to play with that?
since I did those other ones.
Okay. All right, Tim has volunteered to do this. Did everyone, comment on our template thing?
I did not.
Okay.
I did.
So you need to comment on the template thing, look at, make sure we've got it, make sure that the implications, we've covered everything. Okay. So the next steps for us is, we got both of these sheets here.
No, so.
The goal one.
And this was.
Also part of, goal one, yeah. So we won't tackle this at our next meeting coming up next week, but I want to quickly ask a couple of ideas for the meeting. We could get an update from Rocky on the contract for Frank Young. Is that something on the agenda we want to cover? Consensus on that?
Sure.
Yes.
What's
Just,
next week's meeting?
yeah,
So we want,
submitted an agenda for that, so.
yeah, so Rocky
Update on Frank Young Trail contract with Trent State. We did get a proposal from ECTA yesterday,
That's, I think it was
or
yesterday.
day before. You want to hear from ECTA on this, proposal from them? Okay, ECTA's on the agenda. National Trails Day. If we do something, it'd be us and not necessarily the resort, because I mean, the village, because they've already overwhelmed with stuff before and after. So if Trails Day comes up, they could promote something we pull together. So let's decide if we have the energy to do that. If not,
Okay.
the trekkers want to plan something. Let's have a discussion on Trails Day, either fish or not fish, that one. Topics, anything else topic we got to cover?
I have a little information about running stuff, so I'll give me a little bit of time then. It won't take long at all, but
Okay, a running race proposal, for example, okay, that's good to know, and then, Let's talk, so Lonnie may be interested in stepping down because he's got a bunch of other stuff going on. Let's talk about if we wanna, look at it, getting a recreation focused individual on the committee and make a recommendation for that to the village, that we wanna have someone who is skate park oriented or something else, or softball or kickball or whatever, kind of a recreation focus.
It's all good.
And then, adaptive. I don't know what's in proposal yet, but adaptive is something I wanna still have conversation around.
So
Maybe
you
get
wanna
like
have-
goal one being, inclusive
Yeah.
opportunities.
So you want adaptive in the.
Yeah. Adaptive,
Do we-
discuss, adaptive opportunities.
Do we need to follow up on the 24 accomplishments?
Yes, let's do a quick look at that so we can submit it. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
So we want to approve the 24 accomplishments report that we're gonna submit to the village.
We still need some contact information, I believe, for that.
Okay. If you have not yet completed that contact information from that Chris's report, please do that. And then we'll adjourn.